Hello and welcome to Casa San Ysidro, the Gutierrez Minge house. I wanted to share a little bit with you about some of the people who built and lived in this house. First, we've got this photo of the Gutierrez family, which was taken in front of the general store they owned and operated right here in Corrales in the 1890s. Many members of the Gutierrez family lived in this house. Fourth from the right, seated with the mustache and the hat holding the baby, is Jesus Gutierrez, who oversaw the construction of the original 4 rooms of this house starting in 1875. The Gutierrez family had lived in this area of New Mexico for quite some time. The first record we have of them is of a Felipe Gutierrez, who returned here in 1693 as a soldier in Diego de Vargas' army during the reconquest of New Mexico, after the Pueblo Revolt had largely driven the Spanish out of this area in 1680. We know that Felipe fled New Mexico during the revolt when he was just a teenager. A Captain Juan Blas gave Felipe the land that Casa San Ysidro sits on in 1710, probably as a payment for Felipe's service in the Spanish army. In 1868, the Gutierrez family, along with 6 other local families, donated land and materials to build a new church and cemetery here in Corrales to replace ones closer to the Rio Grande that had been destroyed in a flood. Both the church and the cemetery are still standing next to Casa San Ysidro. Jesus Gutierrez started building this house in 1875, and various members of the Gutierrez family owned and rented out the house over the next 64 years. They added another bedroom to the house in the 1890s, around the time this photograph was taken, and they added another room in the 1920s. One thing I like about this photograph is the horse who obviously didn't want his picture taken that day. Jesus and the rest of the family are wearing their very best clothing in this photo. This photo was their opportunity to use one image to record their family, what they did, and all they had accomplished. Our next photo shows the second family to own and live in Casa San Ysidro, the husband and wife team of Dr. Ward Allen and Colonel Shirley Jolly Minge. The Minges moved to Albuquerque in 1951 and continued their passion for collecting New Mexican folk art and artifacts. Allen received his PhD in Latin American history from the University of New Mexico and became the historian for Kirtland Air Force Base, located here in Albuquerque. He also researched and wrote the histories of many pueblos here in New Mexico, including the only known written history of Acoma Pueblo. Shirley earned the rank of colonel in the United States Army Reserve and was a musician with the Las Cruces Orchestra. The Minges bought Casa San Ysidro from the Gutierrezes in 1954 for about $5,000. The newspaper ad described this as one of the last real adobe houses in New Mexico. But Shirley and Allen soon found that many of their new neighbors thought they'd been the victims of a scam. Allen himself described 2 of the 6 rooms in the house as unlivable when they moved in. However, Allen and Shirley saw the foundations of their romantic recreation of life here in Corrales in the 18th and 19th centuries. They added on to Casa San Ysidro using architectural salvage from many other properties in New Mexico that were at risk of demolition by neglect. They also continued to expand their collection of New Mexican folk art, which is displayed here in Casa San Ysidro in what some have described as a love letter to New Mexico.